Hello and welcome to the Ultra DVD library of yours truly. Here we are live in Istanbul, Turkey in our episode 3, and this week we're doing the Blue Underground. Okay, Blue Underground, it's a boutique, little crazy label which specializes in 70s and 80s horror, taboo-breaking stuff, erotic stuff, crazy stuff. Especially has a place in my heart because back in the day when I first started doing this collection in early 2000s, the more obscure and crazy stuff were usually Blue Underground. So there were these films that at the time you couldn't get hold of in Europe or UK, which you could only get from Amazon.com or eBay from US, not the UK side. And many of those movies later I realized turned out to be Blue Underground, and then I think it was first Tartan DVD and then Trauma and then Something Weird Video, which I took a notice of. Oh, there are these like crazy labels like which specialize in horror and like underground stuff and B movies. And then came Blue Underground, and Blue Underground is founded by William Lustig, one of my all-time favorite independent horror writer directors. And William Lustig is of course most famous for Maniac, I Warned You Not to Go Out at Night, Tom Savini's amazing plastic makeup effects, and the violence and the sadism in this movie, and the realism at the time. Realism is really what it gives its cult value. And also Maniac Cop. Those of you who know your stuff know that Maniac Cop is the shit. Also, when we come to 90s, Maniac Cop 2 is also one of my favorites. It's really like one of my favorite sequels. And also Maniac Cop 3 has its moments. There's a scene where some pyrokinetic stunts were really cool, but I think I kind of draw the line at Maniac Cop 3. But William Lustig, also he's one of the directors in Masters of Horror in early 2000s. During and after 90s, William Lustig kind of stops directing, takes a break from being a director, and in early 2002, he founded this awesome Blue Underground distribution label. And Blue Underground, the name means underground, obviously underground, but blue is a term used it's a cinema jargon in the 60s and 70s referring to erotic films, taboo-breaking films. So that's why when I was a film student in early 2000s and I'm discovering all these like taboo-breaking stuff, world weird cinema, especially like Pete Toombs, fantastic movies, also another Pete Toombs films, European sex and horror cinema. These kind of, sources were kind of like expanding my mind to stuff other than mainstream cinema, stuff other than art house festivals, to the grindhouse movies, video nasties, and world weird cinema in general. And then when I started looking for those titles, they only came up under Blue Underground. So in my top 5 Blue Underground, we start with, obviously, I think the main staple I would say is again 70s and 80s Italian genre cinema in Blue Underground. And when you say Italian genre cinema, you have to go with Argento and Fulci. So in my DVD library, like those of you who know the like previous episodes know that my DVD library is this bit is horror. You have like 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and I have David Lynch, Cronenberg, Brian De Palma, video nasties, zombies, Japanese extreme, creature features, slashers. I have giallo films here, mainly by Shameless, which we'll come to later. Argento, Fulci. I have this like genre here which I couldn't really label, but it's mostly like vampires, lesbians, eroticism, and like supernatural cinema. So this bit is a crazy thing on its own. At number 5, in Argento films, I have Deep Red from Blue Underground with a crazy cover. And I have The Bird with Crystal Plumage with a beautiful cover, but unfortunately like these have some damage on it. Like this DVD is probably like more than 20 years old, and at some point I had some water problem at this bit, so like some of my DVDs are damaged, but still it kind of adds to the, how you say, mileage of the film, adds to the vintage quality of the film, so I can't get rid of them. And here I have in Fulci's, I have Don't Torture a Duckling and The New York Ripper. So my number 5 has to go to the amazing Don't Torture a Duckling DVD, because as much as I love this film and I purchased the awesome Arrow Video Blu-ray, I also can't get rid of this one because this cover is unlike anyone out there. It's amazing. It perfectly captures the feeling of the movie, the shamelessly, flamboyant, flaunting to his fabricated nature, as well as trying to be very artistic and mean-spirited. Don't Torture a Duckling is one of my favorite DVDs. So at number 5, we have Don't Torture a duckling. At number 4, I have 3 DVDs that share number 4 spot, and both, like all 3 of these DVDs have this beautiful, shiny cover. Look, it's Death Dream, Uncle Sam, amazing, and one more, should be here somewhere, Dead and Buried. Look, I think in terms of style, this type of, I don't know how you call it, but this shiny, kind of like a petrol, these like psychedelic colors on it thing is one of my favorite DVD cover styles out there. And out of these 3 movies, I really like this one. It kind of resembles the Joe Dante episode from Masters of Horror, where the dead soldiers come back to vote. Here, it's a politically charged zombie film. It looks kind of ludicrous, but it's very, very cool. At the time, I remember like being really impressed by it, and it was a time when movies were more affordable for me to buy from US, and I just purchased this just out of curiosity, and I was really happily surprised, and I added it to my library. I don't add just any movie to my library. These are all like, they all represent something to me. They are part of my memories, and they are all my favorite movies for one reason or another. Death Dream, okay, before Death Dream, Dead and Buried. It's, I say this is the best Fulci-esque movie, which is not done by Fulci. Kind of like takes place in this Innsmouth type of Lovecraftian town, and some, beyond type of madness is happening. And there's especially this one notorious scene where this girl, stabs this mummified victim in the eye, which was crazy in terms of plastic makeup. And overall, in terms of mood and atmosphere, it's one of my favorite movies, and I put it here, 1974. Death Dream, a cult classic. I especially like this one because, again, here a martyr, somebody who died in Vietnam War, comes back to his family. First, his family receives the news, the terrible, devastating news of their son being killed in action. And that night, somebody knocks on the door, and it's like their son has come back, risen from the grave. There's something definitely wrong with him. At some point, he eats the cat even. It sounds a bit comedic, but it's not. It's done like in a very dark manner. But the father and the mother, especially the mother, refuses to see anything bad because she's so happy that their killed in action son come back from the war. And at the very end of the film, somehow the town chases this zombie guy, just like Frankenstein. They chase him to the cemetery of the town, and he kind of goes to his own grave or something. He dies in his own. It's very touching. It's very allegoric. Especially me, being from this country, politics and martyrdom are kind of like intertwined. It hits home. It's very rare that a horror film and politics kind of come together on such a shallow level, but it kind of does echo a lot. So usually, like all horror films, or good horror films, are very political in subtext, but this film in particular, just like Uncle Sam, that's I think a trait of William Lustig, which I love, is very much on the surface. It's a bit, you could even say it's a bit too much on the nose with its allegory, but it works like a charm, unlike many other similar films. There are not many similar films like this anyway. Interestingly, William Lustig's own masterpieces, Maniac Cop and Maniac, they are not released by my versions. My versions are not released by Blue Underground because these 2 DVDs from Anchor Bay, this is from an British company, Optimum, they were released in the pre-2000 DVD boom, or pre-2002, because Blue Underground is founded in 2002. These were like before, I think, late 90s. Only later, their deals have expired, and then Blue Underground have them re-released on Blu-ray and I think in 4K, but I don't have them yet, and I love these DVDs. They're both beautiful, and even if I get them in Blu-ray, I don't think I'll get rid of these. I'll keep these here, and I love them both. Okay, Maniac Cop goes here. So yeah, that was number 4. Okay, on number 3, we're going to a totally different film, a totally different side of my library. We're going to science fiction bit. So in science fiction, I have dystopia here, post-apocalyptic films here, and here we have the awesome classics. Here we have Final Frontier. Here we have First Contact, Mad Scientist, and here I have a very, very unique film, one of my only 2 Blu-rays from Blue Underground. The 10th Victim, Marcello Mastroianni and Ursula Anders, the famous Bond girl Ursula Anders. This is such a beautiful film. It's here in my dystopia, under my dystopia shelf. This is a subgenre of games from future, okay? Capitalistic, ruthless games from the future genre. Most famous being Death Race 2000 and Rollerball, I would say. This DVD cover doesn't really represent the times of it, more like 90s DVD, 19s poster art. But anyways, original film is from the 50s or 60s, I think, right? 75? I thought it was earlier. Anyways, so 10th Victim has a distinct Italian approach with his pop art attitude. It kind of resembles Danger Diabolik from Mario Bava, and it's very erotic. It's very minimalistic. I remember lots of white backgrounds, similar to maybe Logan's Run, and I remember beautiful costumes. My wife especially loves the costumes in this film. Beautiful, dystopian, erotic movie, and it's really crazy that on the back you have a 3.5 star review. But yeah, international cult classic whose wild action and sexy style has influenced a generation of movies from Running Man to Austin Powers. Yeah, this is a pre-Running Man while satisfied by the big hunt of international game. Yeah, it's one of the, I think, like the pioneers of the subgenre of, you know, futuristic game stuff. Also Free Jack, Tron, Running Man, famous classics of the subgenre. So 10th Victim was at number 3 from Blue Underground. Okay, number two. I have a crazy film at number 2. Here we go. Next to my science fiction shelves, here I have this little Sword and Sorcery, and here a crazy Lucio Fulci film again. But all my Lucio Fulci films are here. But this one, I think, because it's really difficult. It's one of my favorite Sword and Sorcery films. It's also a Lucio Fulci film, and I think like my Sword and Sorcery would be, you know, less powerful without this. So at one point, if I buy a Blu-ray, I'm gonna put the Blu-ray here, so like I'll have a film in both subgenres of my shelves. But Conquest, if you inject a little bit of Jean-Jacques Annaud's Quest for Fire into Conan, if you inject a little bit of Italian erotic sadism into Conan, you would get Conquest. Especially that guy with the no face, that arrow with blue lightning comes to mind, and also the crazy beast man type of bad guys were really scary. I remember also there's a crazy scene where they cut the brain of the guy and drink the brain with a straw, like reminiscent of the cannibalism movies of the era. Lucio Fulci pulls no punches doing this. It's one of the most unique and crazy films out there. I couldn't go wrong with putting this one at number 2. It's one of my most unique films. Anybody who loves Conquest is a good friend of mine, I can say. And I love Conquest, and I love this beautiful cover art from Blue Underground. Conquest by Lucio Fulci is at number 2. Okay, before moving on to number 1, let's have some honorable mentions. And again, in Sword and Sorcery, I have the very first film I ever watched as a kid in my Betamax. At the very first Betamax video I purchased, or I think rented, and watched as a kid, is this crazy animation by Ralph Bakshi, Fire and Ice, with this amazing 3D cover. Amazing 3D cover. Like, I love this cover art. Those of you who know Ralph Bakshi from the French heavy metal culture, who had a great influence on animation in general. And I love this film, and it's not only for kids. And I remember watching it as a kid, I was blown away. And years later, I watched it again. I was like, did I watch this as a kid? I mean, I must be 6 or 7 when I watched this. I remember like, and my parents kind of like left me to it, and then I watched it alone, and it has some quite adult and dark themes in it, and especially an ending where the kind of good guys kind of lose, as I remember. Fire and Ice, a super cult classic from Blue Underground, and with this awesome cover, they deserve an extra mention. Okay, some of my this beautiful Blu-ray here, Franco Nero's Django. Usually I don't like Blu-rays with these like, you know, blue frames. Usually I either go for steelbook, or if they're like transparent like this. But since it's really difficult to get your hands onto a very good version of Django, and I really wanted Django in my library, I got this because after discovering The Great Silence 2 years ago, I had my Sergio Corbucci phase, and when I watched Django, I was so much in awe of the film. I have to put this in my library, so I got this version. Other than that, all my Blue Undergrounds are DVDs. And here in my Video Nasties section, we have Hitchhike from the awesome David Hess, which is also signed by David Hess. Oh my god, no! Okay, it's not broken. No. This was signed, I remember this was signed by David Hess, no? Where is it? Oh, it's one of the most lousiest signatures you will ever see. This is David Hess. Look. David Hess signature. A very fast one. I got this from David Hess when he was in Fright Fest. I think it was 2010 or 2011. And he signed my Last House on the Left. for John, and The Road Leads to Nowhere is the song that he composed for this film, and I'm a big David Hess fan. So Hitchhike at the time I could only find from Blue Underground, and I proudly have it here in my Video Nasty section. And a crazy Nazi exploitation, Love Camp 7. The cover says it all. I have Prowler in my slasher section from Blue Underground, one of the better slasher, Bloodbath, as it says on the cover. What else? From the Giallo section, we have Black Belly of the Tarantula, the best, like one of the first Giallo films. Here we go. I have Cannibal Man, which I love. I could easily have put this in first 5. I'm not crazy for this English title. At some point, I have to find Cannibal Man with his original Spanish title, and I don't know what's up with this ludicrous English translation, like Cannibal Man, but it's a great movie. It's up there with Maniac and Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. And what else do I see anymore? Oh, here we go to Zombies, and here we have George Romero's The Crazies, and we have the original Lucio Fulci's Zombie 2, which was released as Zombie in US. And these movies, they have a special place in my heart because this is 2003, 2004, and I was in college, and this is when I was discovering all those cult classics. This is when I first discovered Romero. This is when I first discovered Lucio Fulci. So these films are, it's really poignant for me to be like talking about them. And also here, when we go to our cannibalism subgenre here, we have Mountain of the Cannibal God from Blue Underground. Again, Ursula Anders. Ursula Anders must be something to do with William Lustig or something, I don't know. Or maybe it's a coincidence. And then here, Tombs of the Blind Dead movies, which I'm not crazy for, but some of my friends really like those De Osorio movies. I love the design of the Blind Dead, but I remember I'm not really crazy for them, but at the time, it was one of those movies that really like discovering like these crazy dark areas of cinema history, dark areas of B-movie underground history. So if I don't have any other Blue Underground movies, I have to go with one more time before I go to number 1. Oh, of course, here in my blaxploitation, I have Fight for Your Life, one of maybe the least politically correct film ever seen in American theaters. It's like I watched this again years later. It's not as crazy as it suggests. It's interesting. It's interesting. Uncut and uncensored for the first time. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this. Oh, okay. Here we have, in my erotic section, we have obviously Delirium. Some psychosexual perversity. This can easily go over here as well, by the way. Maybe I should put this here next to my crazy erotic films here. This is a continuation of my erotic films over here. And I think that covers it. And we can finally go to number 1. My favorite Blue Underground film in my DVD library is from this weird section of vampires and nuns and lesbians and whatnot. Daughters of Darkness by Harry Kumel. Stylish adult vampire movie indeed. I love this movie. This movie is charming on another level. The actresses, the dresses, the atmosphere, the ambience is beautiful. And any of you who hasn't seen this film, I strongly recommend. It's very creepy, it's very disturbingly sexy, and international screen icon Delphine Seyrig stars as Elizabeth Bathory. Oh yes, this is an Elizabeth Bathory movie, now I remember. Yeah, Legendary Legacy of Perversion. It's Region Zero, which we always love, better than 1 and 2. Region Zero here. Uncut, unrated adult horror film, the most exquisitely mesmerizing adult horror films ever made. This isn't exaggerating. Blue Underground is proud to present the director's cut of this classical psychosexual shocker, newly mastered. Yes, one of my all-time favorite films, and this goes hand in hand. Next to it is Venice in Furs, also by Jess Franco, and this is shot in Istanbul, by the way. And Severin Films is about to make an amazing new release about this film. So they're next to each other, and next to them, also one of my favorite movies ever is Don't Deliver Us From Evil, but this is for another episode. Okay, and that's it. My favorite top 5 Blue Underground films. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel. And until next time.